Okay, so, I think we should dive into this PDF you sent over. It's called Compelled People to Like You .pdf. And I'm kind of curious about this one.
It is a catchy title, isn't it?
Yeah, it's provocative. Like, can you really compel people to like you?
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously that's what we're going to dive into. But I guess the deeper question is, are there things that we can learn? Are there takeaways that we can extract from this that can help us in, our daily lives in terms of how we connect with people and, build those relationships?
Right. It's not about manipulation. It's more about, I think, identifying what makes someone appealing in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the first things that jumped out to me when reading this is that, it kind of makes this big statement that you can influence how other people perceive you and whether or not they like you.
Right. It's
Yeah.
is possible. Yeah.
Now, of course, this isn't about, you know, trickery. This is about, cultivating certain qualities and understanding that your behavior does have an impact on how people perceive you.
I think one of the things that this PDF does really well is it emphasizes that a lot of people who might be super talented, very knowledgeable, maybe even brilliant, they don't reach their full potential.
Yeah.
Because their personality is creating so much friction with other people
Right.
that they're almost repelling people.
Hmm.
And it could be something that they're doing unintentionally.
Yeah. And I mean, it talks about how, certain personality types can almost trigger this kind of fight or flight response in people.
Right, exactly. Like, do I engage with this person or do I, run for the hills? Yeah. I think the example that they use in the text is really good. There's a woman, she means well. She has a lot of knowledge and she offers a lot of help. She's intelligent, and she wants to help people, but she's extremely critical.
Yeah.
And she thinks that she's just being honest and helpful. But the effect is that people just avoid her.
Hmm.
And she's left wondering why,
Right.
I'm only trying to help.
And so the text, it recommends that we all do a little bit of self-examination,
Oh, yeah.
right? Like look in the mirror and think about, some of the things that we're doing, some of the behaviors, some of our tendencies that might be turning people off.
Yeah. A lot of times it's unintentional,
Right.
right? We don't realize that we're doing it.
Yeah. I mean, they get pretty specific in the PDF about some of the qualities that can be, pretty off-putting. They talk about people who are moody, people who are kind of gloomy or negative, people who are peevish, that are easily irritated, people who are touchy, easily offended, people who are resentful,
Right.
self-conscious in a way that makes it difficult to interact with them.
Yeah.
And they use this term thin-skinned, like they just can't take it.
Right.
They get their feelings hurt too easily.
Mm-hmm.
They can't handle even the most constructive criticism.
Yeah.
And I think one of the they make this really blunt statement about people who are constantly talking about their problems. They
Oh.
say, quote, "People who are always thinking and talking about themselves are never attractive," end quote.
Yeah.
So I think there's a certain truth to that.
Oh, absolutely. It's just too much.
Yeah, if every conversation revolves around you and your problems,
Yeah.
it can be draining for other people.
And it creates this imbalance, right? Like, I'm here to listen to your problems and, help you work through them. But what about me?
Right.
You know?
And so they contrast that with the way people who are well-liked behave.
Mhm.
They tend to show genuine interest in other people,
Mhm.
their lives, their thoughts, their feelings.
Right.
And the PDF even suggests that being affable and good company is actually more powerful than just being like the smartest person in the room.
Right.
Because it's about connecting with people.
It's about connecting, yeah.
It's not just about, having all the answers or, being the most intelligent person in the room.
Right, exactly.
So the advice here, the takeaway is, listen to what other people are saying.
Yeah.
Pay attention to their joys and their sorrows. And make an effort to not always steer the conversation back to yourself.
Right.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't make everything about you.
Yeah. So the PDF really emphasizes that, this isn't a quick fix. Becoming more likable isn't something that happens overnight.
Right.
It takes real effort.
Yeah. It's about you making a conscious effort to change your behavior
Yeah.
and your attitude.
Yeah.
And that takes time.
Absolutely. So let's talk about one of the most important aspects of building good relationships, and that's genuine interest and the ability to listen.
Hmm.
Because the PDF says that, one of the biggest reasons why people aren't popular is because they're too self-absorbed in conversations.
Right. Like they're not really listening to what the other person is saying. They're too busy thinking about what they're going to say next.
Yeah, or waiting for their turn to talk.
Yeah, exactly.
So the advice that they give in the PDF is, quote, interest yourself in others and talk about what interests them, end quote.
Yeah, I like that.
Right. And they talk about this concept of being, universally interested as a way to be universally interesting.
I love that. Yeah.
Right. So if you're interested in everything, then you're going to be an interesting person to talk to.
Right. It makes a lot of sense.
And they quote William Dean Howells,
Okay.
who says, quote, everybody has charm for somebody who is universally interested.
That's a really good quote.
Isn't that a great quote?
Yeah.
And it was shared by Dr. Holmes.
Okay.
And so the takeaway here is that if you approach every interaction with genuine curiosity,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to find some common ground, and you're going to build that connection.
Absolutely.
Now, let's talk about something that a lot of people might assume is really important when it comes to being liked, and that's physical appearance.
Right.
But the text actually kind of downplays that.
Yeah. I mean, it plays a part, right?
Yeah.
Initially, but it's not the foundation of, a lasting positive relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not the be all end all.
Right. Right. Exactly.
And so the focus really shifts to what the text calls these outflowing qualities that really make someone appealing and attractive to others.
Right.
And there's this great quote in the PDF from the historian Francis Parkman.
Okay.
And he says, quote, the effect of a winning personality is like that of a gentle and honest glance of the eye, which, though not striking in itself, is irresistibly attractive, end quote.
I like that. That's a really good way to describe that.
Yeah.
Like, it's subtle but effective.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the text goes on to, really emphasize that having a genuine heart,
Right.
being kind, being genial, having that willingness to help people,
Mm-hmm.
and most importantly, being genuine.
Right.
These qualities will actually overshadow any perceived, physical imperfections that you might have.
It's who you are on the inside.
Yeah.
It shines through.
Absolutely. Now, the PDF also talks about certain behaviors that can actually rub people the wrong way.
Right.
We all have those little pet peeves. There's certain things that other people do that just drive us crazy.
Oh, absolutely.
And so the text kind of identifies some of the big ones. They talk about how people tend to dislike those who are always correcting them or
Right.
criticizing them.
Nobody wants to feel like they're being lectured to all the time.
Right. So, if you're constantly picking on people or pointing out their flaws,
Yeah.
it's not going to make you very popular.
No, it's just going to create tension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they also, point out these negative personality traits, like being pugnacious,
Okay.
which basically means being argumentative.
Right. Always ready for a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being aggressive,
Mm-hmm.
domineering,
Yeah.
narrow-minded,
Like not open to new ideas.
right, intolerant,
Yeah.
and uncharitable.
Right. Quick to judge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I think this is one of the most important points in the PDF is when they address this common excuse that some people give.
Oh.
Like, well, I'm just not a popular person and there's
Mhm.
nothing I can do about it. That's just my personality.
Right.
And the text cleverly compares that to a student who says, I can't do math because my brain's not wired for it.
Right. Because you can learn math.
Yeah.
It's a skill that you can develop.
Absolutely. And so the PDF is basically saying that, your personality,
Right.
like any skill, requires effort and development.
Right. You can't just say, well, this is who I am and there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, take some responsibility.
Yeah, exactly. You have the ability to cultivate more positive ways of interacting with people.
Absolutely. Now, the PDF also gets into the nuances of being friendly
Okay.
because, they caution against trying too hard.
Right.
Or being overly artificial in your attempts to be liked.
Yeah, because it's going to come across as fake.
Right. Forced friendliness can actually have the opposite effect.
Right. Exactly. It's got to be genuine.
Yeah. So they talk about this, becoming a good mixer by developing a more genuine and spontaneous way of engaging with people.
Right.
And they emphasize that you need to have real interest in people,
Yeah.
a real love for humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And they touch on this tendency that a lot of us might fall into,
Yeah.
which is being too reserved
Right.
or too formal.
Yeah. Keeping people at arm's length.
Yeah. And so the PDF actually gives us incredibly specific advice for something as basic as a handshake.
Yeah.
They say, quote, put some real feeling into it. Look the person in the eye. Give him a real smile that will make him feel that you are glad to see him. Radiate cheer and make him feel genuinely welcome, end quote.
That's a lot to pack into a handshake.
It is, right? But it basically, it's about making people feel welcome.
Right. And it's about seeing the humanity in everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, the PDF also talks about when these positive qualities should ideally start to develop.
Okay.
And they argue that cultivating a lovable disposition should start early in childhood.
Right. Like it shouldn't be something that we just expect to happen,
Right. And they contrast this with the tendency to allow negative traits like shyness or a gloomy temperament to persist in children,
Right.
as if, they're just inherent parts of their personality.
Mm-hmm.
But the PDF strongly suggests that, a child's character can be influenced
Right.
and positively shaped through proper guidance and education.
Right. Nurture versus nature.
Absolutely. And so they give us this wonderful list of qualities to nurture from a young age. Patience, kindness, generosity, humility, courtesy, unselfishness, a good temper, guilelessness, and sincerity.
That's a great list.
And then they pose this thought-provoking question from Henry Drummond, who asks, quote, is it not possible to cultivate these qualities in everyone, young and old?
That's a great question.
It is a great question, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, when you think about this, the concept of compelling people to like you, on the surface, it might sound, kind of manipulative.
Right.
But I think the real takeaways here are about, self-improvement
Right.
and fostering genuine human connection.
Absolutely. It's about shifting your focus from yourself to the people around you.
So, to kind of sum it up, becoming someone others it genuinely involves developing a real interest in the people you interact with.
Mm-hmm.
Actively practicing a positive interpersonal skills like being a good listener,
Right.
showing kindness,
Yeah.
and consciously working to move away from that, self-centeredness
Absolutely.
and those negative behaviors that can create distance between people.
So I guess one question for our listeners is, what's one thing that resonated with you from this deep dive?
Mm-hmm.
What's one thing that you could work on? Maybe, just one behavior that you could change
Mm-hmm.
that might have the biggest positive impact on how you connect with the people in your life.
Yeah, something to think about.
Definitely.
All right. Awesome. Well, thanks so much.